Hi, welcome. I'm Ricky. This is Eve. We're the tender trainers, right? So we help subcontractors with their tendering, basically, and our goal is to help make this process as simple and successful as possible, so you can win those bigger contracts with less stress. So yeah, we try and do this on a regular basis. So feel free, jump on or DM us with anything, even if it's a topic that you feel like would be good to cover. This is your opportunity to hit us up about anything. All right.
Yeah, anyone wants to drop a comment in, say hi if you happen to be watching live, or if you want to drop us any questions, please feel free as well. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah. All right. Shall we get into it?
Yeah.
Okay. So this week's topic for discussion that we wanted to talk about is the estimate versus reality, and in particular, using cost tracking as a tool to help save your profit margin. Right. So this is something, and I'd love to hear from you, Eve, but this is something from my experiences, and all main contractors quite regularly do this on a monthly basis. Um, they cost track their projects, they compare against budgets, and they report, right?
Yeah, as a quantity surveyor, it's a really normal part of my function that I would be doing a monthly reporting process. This is often in the form of a CVR, cost value report. So quite often you would be reporting what your costs were against what you can claim from the client. So it's really clear whether you're kind of in the red or in the black for that month and what's happening, and not just for that month, obviously, but up to date. And then you're often doing a cash flow forecast. Well, you're often doing a forecast as well, cost forecast. And often also, feeding into a cash flow forecast. But anyway, yes, definitely reporting, really standard process. And the idea of that is that you'll be reporting so that others in the business can understand where your project is or where your section of the project is, how much is claimable of the costs that have come through. And you're also often taking a look at it versus the budget. So often as a quantity surveyor or commercial manager, part of my role would be, all right, so for this section of work, say I'm doing a fit out, say I'm doing like a Cat B plus fit out. All right, so for this section of works that you've got this Cat B, plus fit out on level 2, you had the dry lining at 16,000, and for this section here, and it's coming in at 22. What's happened, Eve? And so you become kind of accountable for that. I have to explain why it's an extra $6,000 in there, and then I'll be going back to my subbies and saying, hey, what's happened with this section of works? Like, why is there an additional cost here? So that's part of what it's all about. It's kind of just, it's normal, right? It makes sense. You start with a cost. Anything that you're doing, if you're going off to build your own house and you know that the house build is going to cost you £300,000, you would want to be tracking it month on month, because if it's a 12-month build and in month 9 you're at 280,000, you're going to be starting to go, hang on. Where are we headed? Is this going to be over budget? Why is it going to be over budget? Can I course correct? Some of my fixtures and fittings maybe now be a bit cheaper because I didn't realize that there was going to be these below ground obstructions and it's throwing my budget out. You want to, it's information. You know that information early, you can course correct, you can change things. You can, in a construction context, a subcontractor context, you can go and put in variations to the client, or you can go off and say to the client, hey, you realize this is costing this much more. We need to have a meeting and talk about it. Are you going to, there's some other options. Maybe it's not just that it's going to cost X amount more. So I know I'm rambling a little bit, but yes, definitely reporting, standard, normal function that should be happening for everyone. Main contractor world, yes, that's a normal monthly thing that every quantity surveyor will have a deadline for and will be reporting to the business on. What's happening in our subcontract world with our clients, Ricky?
It's something that I don't see done too well, if I'm completely honest. And you touched on it, but there's two major benefits to doing this. The one is, as you say, you can course correct, right? If you're aware of where you're sitting, how much you're spending, how much you think you're going to spend, you can compare that to budget and you can course correct if there's going to be issues. That's why main contractors do it on a monthly basis, and that's why you report on a monthly basis. But another big one, which is a massive benefit, particularly for our subcontractors, is that if you identify an issue from cost tracking against the budget, you can feed that back into your estimate so that your problem doesn't reoccur in your pricing going forward. So really, you're honing your pricing and getting that spot on through previous experience of working, as well as what you think is going to happen.
Yeah,
But
definitely. Yeah, definitely. And like, this is the thing, is like, we're the tender trainers, right? But we're talking about delivery right now. We're talking about cost tracking through the project, and we can talk about that with authority because we've both spent a lot of time in delivery in our construction careers as well as in estimation. So we know it. We know delivery inside out, and we've seen the same problems happen over and over again on subcontract side, on main contract side. And so for us, everything we do at the tender trainers, everything we do in all of our programs and our one-to-one, we're always setting our clients up for success on the project and delivery to make money. We're always thinking about final account. We're not just saying, get an estimate in and win the job. Cool. Then what happens? We want our clients to have really happy, healthy, fat, successful businesses that they enjoy being in, maybe not too fat, maybe a little bit lean, but do you know what I mean? We just don't want them just to win work, because so what, really, to be honest, so what? You won that job, so what? You won that job and you made no profit on it. You don't have a viable business if you're doing that too often. So we're setting our clients up for success. So there's two things that you mentioned there, right? It's cost tracking through the project. So you can get to the point with this is you want to get everything that you're doing as a subcontractor. You should be thinking about that final account meeting. When you sit in that final account meeting, are you walking out smiling because you made profit on this job? Are you walking out not really knowing? Or are you walking out going, Jeebus, like, we just lost 100 grand on that project. I can't believe all the stress that I've gone through on this. I can't believe how much work I put into it. So everything from that initial estimate through to how everything goes on the project should always be with final account in mind, because that's what we're here for. We're here to make money. That's what we're doing in business. There's lots of other cool, rewarding parts about it, but let's be honest, if we're not making money, there's no point. Just go get a job. go get a job on site. What are you doing, kind of thing. So anyway, back on point, that's why we talk about this at the tender trainers. And there's those two main things you mentioned. One is cost tracking. The reason that you're tracking costs is actually a lot of it's to do with being able to put in variations.
Yep.
Or being able to forewarn the client quickly if something's about to change, and they may choose to change, they may choose to make some adjustments so you can stay on budget. You might choose to give them some recommendations. So it's kind of like that, the early opportunity to advise the client of what's going on so there's no shocks and so that you can reclaim money is quite important. And then you want to talk a bit about this estimate cycle, Ricky, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, when you cost track and you compare against the budget, right? If you find that you didn't make money on certain elements of that budget, you can identify, if you've got the data there, by having cost track throughout the job, comparing against the budget, where the issues were. So if it was, for example, that you did not allow enough for labor, so in your estimate, it was simple. You did not allow enough for labor, so you lost money on labor on that job, and you've identified that through your cost tracking. Then you have the potential to fix that in the estimate going forward. You can have a discussion with whoever does the estimates going forward. You've identified your lien on this aspect, and you can make more of an allowance going forward. So you're fixing your pricing going forward, making sure it doesn't reoccur. The same thing can happen with whatever you might have lost money on on a project.
Yeah,
But
totally.
if you don't cost track, and you don't identify the issues, you can't fix it.
And the thing
You're
with
just
an
going to keep
example
carrying
like
the same problem forward.
correct. And the thing with an example like that, right, is you might, okay, so let's say you've got a 12-week project and you've identified that you're going to have, I don't know, let's say 4 blokes a day, like a gang of 4 for 12 weeks. And that's based on a certain kind of amount of production. So they're doing an install and you've based on whatever they're installing that they can do 1 a day. And then it turns out that for a gang of 4, in actuality, in those site conditions, that when they get in and do it, even though they're working their bum off, it's 0.75 they can install a day. They can't get a full install done in a day. Whatever it is, I don't have a good, a good example to bring to mind right now. But so there's 2 things that could be happening there, right? And this is why identifying it early is so important. Your estimate could be off. Actually, the estimator need to put in, 1.25 install rate for a gang of 4 per item. And that would push the install out a week or 2. How much? Well, it would be 25%, wouldn't it? So it would be 12 weeks. So it would be 3 weeks. So push it out. So it's going to be a 15-week program. So that's quite a lot of actual overheads and additional costs there in that. So that's one thing that could have happened. Estimate was wrong. Estimator needs to know going forward must always be 1.25. Another thing that could have happened is 0.75 is usually right. But in these site conditions, they said that they would hand over a really clear working section. Everyone else's work is done and you go and away you go. But actually you get in there and the dry liners are still working and you're working on top of people and the MEP guys are on the roof and you're working around ladders in the ceiling. And so you just the working space is really small and the site conditions aren't great and they don't let you get on site until 8:30 for some reason and then you have to get out at 4. So it also could be the case that it's taking 1.25 days, but it's because of the site. And actually, if you have a QS working for you as a consultant or you've got someone in your team, they might be able to go through the contract and look at everything and be like, whoa, we definitely have grounds for a claim here. This is an extra 3 weeks. And this is not our fault. Our estimate was correct based on the information given to us. And the contract says X, Y, Z. And these extra 3 weeks, they're not going to come out of our pocket. So there's 2 things that could happen. But if you don't jump on that early, being able to put a variation in or speak to the client about what's happening, because the client also might say to you, okay, well, here's how we can mitigate this. Okay, we're going to give you this clear section to get started on. Or, okay, if you have another site to go to, get off site for a week, come back and we'll give you a clean run. There might be ways that they can work around it. But if you don't get in and start having that conversation early, and if you don't track your costs really carefully around what's happening, if you don't have your guys doing daily diaries, if you're not taking photos, if you're not having meetings, because you don't know until you're 3 weeks over program what's happened, it just becomes very, very, very hard to come back and claim that money.
Absolutely.
That was my little rant. And you know what? It's not just cost tracking, it's everything tracking. It's daily diaries, it's taking photos. I just see this fall down so much and you just so much money left on the table. So we were talking earlier, Ricky, weren't we, about the fact that a lot of our clients, they bring on QSs a bit too late in the game. They don't have the time to track everything, but a good QS, even if you have a consultant or whatever, they'll make their money back in spades. By being able to put in good variations and being able to keep you on track with your money.
Or a good project manager.
Or a good project manager who has QS capability. And so for some of our clients, that's more appropriate because they're not big enough yet to warrant having the separate functions.
Yeah, that's what I did through my career, project management. I controlled the costs as well. Put the variations in, track the costs as a project manager.
Correct.
All right, cool. Well, hopefully that's clear, but in summary, hopefully you understand now, cost tracking is quite critical, isn't it? To both hone in your pricing, variations, as well as mitigating issues on losing profit midway through jobs, right?
Yeah, totally. And it's that piece of the estimate being fed back to the estimator.
Yeah,
You do a
absolutely.
project.
Avoid repeat pricing issues.
Yeah. If you get to final account and you didn't make money, or the costs are very different, or there's things that estimator needs to know, make sure they know it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't just let it happen. These two functions in silos.
No,
They're
no.
not in silos. They're very, very integrated, or they should be.
Yeah, delivery and estimation shouldn't be separate in isolation. They should have some interaction.
Definitely. Okay, did we do it?
Yeah, I think we can wrap up. That's it.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. If anyone's got any questions about that, please drop us a note. I think the most key thing I could say on that is when you put together an estimate, make it so easy to track costs. It should be really easy to use the same spreadsheet to track the actual costs month on month.
Yeah.
It can be that simple that at the end of the month you jump on and say these were the actual costs. If you can't do it yourself, even having like a great assistant, like a really great admin assistant could be able to come in and do that for you, or your missus, or, you know, depending on the size you are, or an assistant quantity surveyor, or etc. But just starting to make sure that that's happening, because all too often it's not.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just a quick last note there, our estimating book that we use to price jobs is set up in a way that the budgets are very easily identified and used for cost tracking. So the estimate template should be easy to identify the budgets and costs against, as you mentioned.
Exactly. It's what we said there about everything we're doing. We might be talking about tenders the whole time, but we're thinking about final account.
Absolutely. It's just the start of the project, the procurement. It's not a different project. It's just the start.
If you don't sit in that final account meeting smiling because you've made money, then we've done something wrong. Something's gone awry. Awesome. Well, feel free to reach out to us, guys. We've recently launched Pipeline to Growth, which is our new group program, which we're super pumped about. We bring in great clients, good people. We've got the good guys. We've got the good guys with us. So if you kind of want a really supportive environment where you've got other construction company directors who you can kind of bounce ideas off, you've got us who can help to support you, set you up for success, both in tendering and winning the bigger projects, and also just taking it through to that final account profit space, which is where we want everyone to be. Then yeah, come on in, drop us a message, jump on a call with us, and we can talk about what that would look like.
Perfect. Cheers.
Bye, everyone. See ya.